Hello mate, welcome back. In this video we're going to be doing yet another render of our character Sam here, whom I've already loaded into the scene for reasons which I'm sure you're all aware at this point. Before I get started, a huge thank you to my members and patrons. Your names will be running across the bottom of the screen at the end of the video. And of course, a thank you to everybody for subscribing and hitting that notification icon as well. That really helps me out too. Okie dokie, so let's jump into this. Right, first thing I notice is that her feet are in the standard default T pose or A pose, and her shoes look stupid, so I'm actually going to just remove the shoes because, quite frankly, don't need them right now. So we're going to go with sandals, get rid of bottom. God, she's sitting down, it's just going to create more aggravation than it's worth. Nice. So the first thing I want to do is find a chair in my content library, so we are going to jump over there and we're just going to go with a chair. Maybe do some kind of bench. We'll just see what we can find in our chairs first. You never know, we might find something perfect. We might not. We'll just have to see what comes out. And I'm thinking she's going to be in kind of a back garden, so maybe a backyard chair is going to work. Some kind of comfy chair. I think I'm going to go with this one. Wait for that to load into the scene. Super duper. Yeah, that looks like a back garden chair. Winner. Okay, so we're going to put her into a sitting pose, so we need to get her selected, and then we can go into our smart content and we can put her into a pose by function and sitting. Where are we? There we go. Lovely jubbly. Give that a moment to have a bit of a think. There we go. That looks a little bit more sensible, doesn't it? So now we can bring her down so that she's actually sitting into the cushion. And then we can just put this foot on tippy toes. Come on, come on. Select that. Oh, I've turned off selection. That was silly. Right, let's try that again. We'll just decrease the bend. That's a bit too much, but it's hanging. So she's sitting in the chair. And I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll lower the chair into the floor slightly. It's not the end of the world. I don't think we're actually going to put... Do you know what? Forget about it. Forget everything, guys. We're not actually going to put that foot in the shot. We'll just shoot around it. That works for me. Right. So what I need to do is run a simulation so that her hair and her top do the right thing. So we'll do that now. Alrighty, so that's that done. I've also changed her top because the other one was annoying me because it was exploding in simulation. So sometimes compromises have to be made. Alright, so we've got her sitting on a chair. So the next thing I need to do is put a table, some kind of table beside her, and a cell phone. So here we go. Table. See what tables we've got available to us. And then once we've got that, we can find a cell phone prop. It hasn't got to be anything spectacular. Literally anything, just nothing too big. It's going to be like a console table or just something that sits beside her. This one looks interesting. Yeah, that'll work. Okay, so let's just close her down. Let's grab the side table and bring it over here. Cool. Now we just need a phone. See if we can find a good cell phone prop. Should be plenty. Should be absolutely tons. Yeah, that'll work. Need to grab that. Bring it up. Right, being a glass table does present us with a slight problem, so I'm just going to unselect these items so that we can't accidentally select those. Now we have to make sure that the cell phone is actually sitting on top of the glass and not underneath it. So we have to figure out what height the side table. We need to figure out what height that table's actually at. It's probably somewhere around 65, I'm guessing. Maybe slightly higher. If we go into either side view really, and then we can zoom in. And then we can make sure that we've got that at exactly the right height. So up we come. Yeah, I'm guessing that's 65. Let's go back into perspective view. Hard to say, I know, it's very difficult, but you can see the glass isn't actually perfectly level with the top of the table. nor is the phone. So I'm guessing that that's correct. We could go into iRay preview mode, to be honest, and have a look. And let's just see what happens, if it's definitely under the glass or if it's over it or if it's on it. We will soon see. And then we can move it into the correct position in the X and Z. Yeah, that's bang on. Look at that. Perfecto. Cool. Right, so back to texture shaded mode we go. Considering I gave that top a white material, it doesn't look very white. Right, we're going to rotate it slightly as well, this phone, so it doesn't look like it's completely ridiculous. Right, so I'm going to select her top again. And going to go back into materials in the smart content. And it looks like that's a shader rather than a material, so we'll just select that and on this. It's hard to tell if that's worked or not. Oh well, always good when you buy a product and the materials don't work for it. It's not a major problem if it doesn't work, to be honest. I'm not going to cry about it. Alright, so we've got the phone there, we've got her. She's just kind of sitting there absent-mindedly, so we should probably give her an expression at this point. So go into the smart content, poses, expressions. Give it a moment. She's just having a chat, so we don't want anything overly expressive. She's just having a conversation. Let's go with this one, see what this looks like when it's on her face. Those toothy looks are always a bit hit and miss, but we will assume that it's fine for now. Cool, right, so we need to give this a new HDRI. So I'm just going to quickly go to my render settings and we'll give it, she's going to be in a park perhaps, maybe on a beach. Let's see what HDRIs we've got available to use. Okie dokie, I think this one might look okay. We'll find out in a sec, to be honest. So we'll stick this back in NVIDIA iRay mode and we'll switch Draw Dome on. Let's try switching Draw Dome on again, and then we'll just change the angle a little bit so that it's closer to what we're actually going to be shooting, or rendering I should say. Give this a moment, and then alright, so it turns out she's in the middle of a freaking lake. Oh no, she's on a bridge. On a bridge in the middle of a lake. Well, that clearly is not going to work. So let's go with a different one. Bear with me for a moment. This is not a great HDRI. This is one that's not really... So some HDRIs might be great for some things, but this one's clearly not designed for this kind of purpose. So it would take a significant amount of faffery to get it to work. So we'll try a different one that hopefully has more of an open plain kind of surface for the ground, because it's just easier if you have them in too close quarters. So this kind of thing will work. We can make this work. We just need to rotate it by, I'm going to go with not quite, so we don't need the ground, we're not going to draw that. So dome rotation, I'm going to go with, well, let's try 115 and see if the light's better. Okay, that will kind of work. Now I need to zoom way back. And then we can build our camera right here. And in the camera view mode, I'm going to zoom the camera right in and see if it works. If not, the other alternative is, so again, this is one of those HDRIs where it could work. I mean, there's a lot of chromatic aberration in this photograph. This photographer was really sloppy. So we can zoom. The other alternative, if you find that you're getting the scaling up problem in the wrong direction, what you might have to do is zoom right in and then, oh, don't go into minus figures in your zoom, but come out to sort of see this is close to the sort of scale that this was intended to be done at. And as you can see, it's really bad distortion, so we are not going to use it. It's fine. It's absolutely fine. We can, if needs be, we can put a backdrop in. But this is really, really not ideal again. So what I'll do is I'll go to edit, give it about 20 minutes to have a think, edit, undo camera orbit, edit, undo focal length, edit, undo pan camera. So we're back to more or less where we want to be. Go to our HDRI browser again. Gonna come out of that one. And I'm just going to select one that I know is a little bit better. Thing like... Let's try this one. This one might be better. None of them are going to give you a perfect result. There's always going to have to be a little bit of compromise. And we achieve that by putting objects in the background. But at least with something like this, we've got something to work with, something that we can work with. So that's cool. I'll leave this camera where it is. And I'm going to go back into... Nope. Click on the right damn thing. Going to go back into texture shaded mode. And now I'm going to add... As you can see, that camera's... a little bit higher, but it's fine for now. So we can add some objects in the foreground and background just to make this look a little bit more natural. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find some kind of hedge. Anything that's going to, that will work. And we can select the hedge and we can just drift it back somewhere like that and then pull it along here. And then load another one into the scene, and we'll pop this one kind of next to this one, but not, if that makes any sense. There we go. So they're kind of overlapping, that's fine. That'll work. And now we can add some kind of other plant in between. Maybe even a flower, we'll see. We'll see what we've got, just to add a bit of color to the render from the foreground. Okay, we'll add a rhododendron bush, that will work. So we'll pop the rhododendrons inside this hedgerow. And then we'll slide it along. Come on. Come on! So that it adds a little bit of colour. We can scale it up so that it looks nicer. And maybe pull it back a smidge. There we go. So now I'm looking for some kind of flower. Those of you who've watched my live stream have seen me do this before. And we just add a flower kind of into the middle ground. It just gives us a little flash of color across the render. Vase with flowers, let's see what this looks like. Right, so if I jump into the camera view now, we can actually select that. We can drag it up. And I'm going to rotate my camera slightly just to give us a slightly different angle, mainly so the hedgerow isn't completely out of shot. Let's go with this. I'm going to zoom in the camera slightly. Give us a little bit of a different crop. So now we can compose the shot a little better. Now if we go back to the vase, increase that Y value a little bit more. And I can go into perspective view overhead. Come way back. Takes its time, coming back, keep coming back, keep coming back. Keep on coming back. Let's see if we can actually see the camera yet. There it is, right, okay. So now we're just going to position this between the camera and our character about halfway. And then obviously we're going to have to tweak the position so that it's actually in shot by moving the X. So there it is. Still quite far away. So I'm going to go back to our perspective view. I'm going to stick it kind of here. Be hard to miss it then. Back into our camera view. Right, it's either too low or too high or too far left. Or there it is, right there. Cool. So I'm going to swing that across that way just a smidge. Okay, so what I also want to do is now I'm going to come back into perspective view. I'm going to reset the view. That gives me an opportunity to select the face of the camera. In the surfaces tab, I'm going to change the screen and I'm going to give it an emissive property. And I'm going to give it a color. And I'm going to give it a value of just something. Probably don't want it to be too mad, but let's go with like 500. Just because the phone's on and she's talking on it, and we want it to look a little bit like it's lit up. So let's just have a look in NVIDIA IRA mode now and see what we've got. Now that plant pot right now is going to be blatantly obvious because we don't have any depth of field yet. So I'm going to select the camera right now. I'm going to switch it on. The focal distance is going to be way off. As you can see, I'll come back into texture shaded mode, go back into my perspective view mode, and if I change the focal distance, it's going to be probably close, yeah, about 1,000. That was a good guess, really. Normally I aim for about 1,000, but that I didn't really use any kind of help, so I was quite lucky I managed to land that. There we go. So we want a nice shallow depth of field. Go back into our camera, stick NVIDIA IRA mode on, and let's see what result we get just from this. And then we can decide whether or not we need to add anything else. I might need to change the scale of this plant, this vase in front, because I've got a feeling it's going to be much too small. But we'll find out in a sec. No biggie. Okay, so we've got our rhododendron. Yeah, it's too close and much too small. So if we increase the scale, I'm going to go with something more like that. That plant pot's going to bite me in the bum. Just drop that down to 0. Okay. Depth of field is too shallow, you can tell from this. So what I want to do is change the f-stop to about F. I'm going to go with F8. No, it's still too shallow. Okay, let's try F16. That's a little bit better. And now we're starting to see these plants. I'm not entirely sure why the... Let's just get rid of the barley. We don't need barley. That's just silly. I don't know anything about flowers, so I'm going to come back into texture shaded mode. I actually don't mind that green glow, so I'm inclined to leave that there and find a different flower to put in the foreground below it. So let's try sticking something like... Just need to find something nice and colourful. Let's just use this one. So if I copy position of this and I paste this and then I increase the scale of the flower somewhat, you should eventually start to see it encroach on. I stand corrected. Okay, let's have a look at perspective view and see what's going on. If I right, it's freaking miles over that way. That's not much help, is it? All right, let's try. Let's just try 250% for size. Let's bring it back over here so that it's a little bit more sensibly positioned. I don't think this one's going to work purely from the size of it. The size of the flowers, yeah, that's not going to work for me. So we'll bring something else in. Go Control C on this one, go Control V on this one. Okay, that looks a little bit more like it. Let's come back into our camera view mode. No, that's not going to work. We can't see where we are. We're miles out. Camera view mode now. Right, now we've got a freaking great plant pot in the way. That's not going to work either. Let's see. Right, that's different. Let's have a look and see if that works. This should all be kind of bokeh'd out, but I guess we'll find out in a moment, won't we? NVIDIA IRA mode, please. In your own time, Mr. Computer. This is either going to look amazing or crap. It's always the way it works with this trick. Could look spectacular, could look like really just not very good. Give it a moment. Well, it's probably, I want to say, let's try going a little bit more out of the way in the X direction. Not that much. Up. And I'm thinking maybe a little bit closer to the camera just to create some more of that. Oh my god, this is going to be one of those days. Right, that'll work. And then in the Z direction, let's try going for... Let's try going with 220. Color-wise, that's better. Now we just need to get this position right. I'm going to go minus 735. Still think that maybe, let's try 300 and see what happens there. Minus 750. And let's maybe just hide this vase and see what happens then. That might be creating too much of an obstruction. Well, that kind of works. I'm quite happy with that, actually. We've got nice flashes of colour here. It's not obstructing her. She kind of looks like she's having a conversation, more or less. So I'll delete the vase. Going to delete the plane now because we don't need it anymore. The only other thing I could do is create a plane behind her. So let's just, right, first things first, let's sort out these hedges so that I don't keep accidentally clicking on them, because that's going to get annoying. Cool, right, so let's come back into texture shaded mode. We're going to go into perspective view, and we're going to reset our camera. Cool, now we can create a plane. So, yeah, plane, happy days. Just bring that up. It's not good. Come on, give us the plane. Thank you. I'm going to rotate it on the X plane. Doesn't really matter which way we go. Bring this up so it's behind her. I'm going to bring it nice and close, although it's already quite close. Come in. Cool. Right, now I'm going to apply my super sexy ghost light material. Come back to the camera view and let's stick it into NVIDIA IRA mode and see what happens. I'm concerned it may start illuminating the bush behind her, so we might have to turn off two-sided lighting and see what happens. But it's no biggie. Give it just a moment to have a think. And then we can see it's done a really marvellous job of illuminating the chair behind us. So let's turn off two-sided light. In your own time again. Right, it's doing a marvellous job of illuminating her shoulder, but it's not illuminating anything else, which is bang on what I'm after. So we've got a nice highlight on her shoulder, which is kind of what I'm after, and no weird lighting anywhere else. So I would say that render is basically ready to go. So I'm gonna bang it out. Thanks ever so much for watching, guys. I mean that. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I will see you in the next one, but until then, you take damn good care of yourselves, alright? Bye bye.